From devotional song to yet another delightful speaker who has been in the proximity of the Lord and had wonderful experiences. Gene Massey. Gene has been a devotee of Sri Sathya Sai Baba since 1980, when he began attending the Hollywood Sai Center. He is still active at the Hollywood Sai Center, and since 1988 has participated in a weekly homeless feeding project in Santa Monica, and has been teaching a Sai EHV inspired life skills class on Monday nights at Camp Kilpatrick, a LA County correctional facility for teenage boys. Gene is a Los Angeles film director and films around the world for the Sri Sathya Sai Organization, covering a wide range of Sai service activities, including medical camps, hospitals, orphanages, and various Sai schools. Gene has made a number of short films and documentaries for the Sai organizations in more than 25 countries in almost all the continents of the world. You know what? Gene has made a personal sacrifice to be here for our sake. He has missed the birthday celebrations in Prashant in LA. He flew back because he was there a week ago in India. He could have stayed back, but he said, no, I want to be here. And he has really done that for our sake. Thank you very much, Gene. Over to you. Welcome aboard. Where are you?
Such a beautiful altar, magnificent. You can see me, but I can't see you. Actually, I was in Prashanti, but I heard that Swami was going to be here. Is Swami out there somewhere? I'm very, very grateful to be here today. I'd like to begin with a prayer, if I could. Swami, please speak through this body. Help me to be your instrument at this time and speak through me. Thank you, Swami. If I could have control now.
Control, Q.
Of this.
He's asking.
That which is unchanging, that that which is unchanging, that which, when known, all else is known, that which is all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipresent, omnipotent, that which pervades the entire universe and is the indweller of all things, that which is divine and is pure selfless love, that which is the magnificent, glorious, supreme consciousness, that which is Paramatma, the indestructible, eternal, supreme, absolute being, Brahman. He descended upon this earth and took a form, a human form, and walked among us as Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. this was very difficult for me to comprehend as a Christian. I had been raised, the first time I walked into a Sai center, and I saw the men on one side, and I saw the ladies on the other side, and I saw a picture of a man up there that was not Jesus. And I remember thinking, I hope nobody sees me in here with these people. But that is the, many religions mislead us and are misinformed, and we ourselves therefore misinformed. Swami has took me at that time, and I remember as they began singing bhajans, I began sobbing because something touched my heart. They're singing Sanskrit songs that I've never heard before, and these beautiful bhajans, and I just began sobbing. And I came back to the center and began coming because I felt it was like my church, I thought it was really neat. You could go there from 8 to 10 on Friday nights, and the nightclubs didn't start till 10, so it was really perfect. Swami took me, and in the first interview that I ever had, we all came in and sat down, and he looked around the room, and he looked at me and went, "Bad boy." Almost in astonishment, like, how did you get in here? So if you want to think of Swami's miracles, the miracle is that he would accept someone like me, and basically everything that he's done since that time, has been to transform me. Even these talks. I'm not a particularly educated man, and I'm not any special spiritual leader or I really have no qualifications other than perhaps somewhat of a cameraman. And yet he has put me in the position of being a speaker sometimes, mainly for my own transformation. Because what I'm going to show you today, I had to do some research on, and I had to read Jnana Vahini, which is one of my favorite books. And in that process, I'm going through my transformation. So if you can bear with me as I'm being transformed. This particular PowerPoint that I'm going to show today is something that's actually the antithesis of my own religion. Because of my own religion, I'm a sinner and no good, and there's even a song, Amazing Grace, that saved a wretch like me. I know Bernice Mead doesn't like singing. She said, "I'm not a wretch." So in the Christian religion, I'm a miserable sinner, and God is something apart from you. And Swami is correcting us here, and we're going to go through a piece today where you see that's not the case. You're actually divine. And so the first slide is everything came from the one. Swami said, I separated myself from myself so that I could love myself. You yourself are the divine principle. You are endowed with immense divine power. You are God of this universe. You are creating the whole universe and drawing it in.
No, I didn't.
In fact, nothing in this world is real. It's all creations of your mind. These are all, by the way, these are all passages from Swami. Some of them have, I seem to be missing the bottom part that has the actual quote where the piece is from, but there's I can give it to you later if you want. It's got a piece underneath one that shows where it's from. There's one. You are God. The fact that they say that I am God in the Christian religion, that's pretty far from the teachings. It's your mind that creates all things. See if there's a way I can fix this so that it's not, aha, maybe this will help.
What is?
Yeah, there we go. The external world is created by your own mind, it says here. The mind that creates within itself its conception of the universe.
What do you say?
All things you see are your own reflections. Everything you see is found within you. All beings are in you. You are the basis of everything. These are very interesting concepts to me. How, and Swami even said to me in an interview once, there is no creation, only projection. So it all comes from within. Everything in this world is of your own making. In fact, there's nothing other than you. That's because there's only one of us. There's one. All of this is one. Everything outside is only a reflection of your own inner being. The experience of the world is but a projection of our mind and the reflection of our own inner thoughts. The color of the glasses you wear determines the color in which things appear to you. You see, I never got great teaching like this in my faith. This is really incredible, and it goes along with all the teachings of the new thought, of all the awareness teachings and everything. So it really it's just beautiful. If you view things with love, with a loving heart, the whole creation will appear to you as a reflection of Prithvi. All the good and the bad you come across are just your own reflections. So don't point an accusing finger at others. Swami has said that if you did not have those qualities within you, you would not be able to recognize them in the other person. And I think a good thing to say, something I try to say sometimes, is I see qualities in that person that I like least in myself. If your feelings are divine, you will find divinity everywhere. The purification of the heart is the key to it all. The world is just a reflection of your own heart. And if you fill your heart with love, you will experience love everywhere. And by the way, there's so much love here. I was backstage and it's just so much love when you come to these events. Aha. Do such acts as would promote the happiness and prosperity of all. This is the path which will bring out the divinity in you to the fullest. Now, it brings up an issue here. You say, I'm God. Well, how come my wife doesn't treat me like God? Why don't my kids treat me like God? If Swami were here at this moment, if Mother Teresa were here, Saint Mother Teresa were here, it would change the vibration of this room, because all of us would look at them with a different look. It's like that. What is it about Mother Teresa or Saint Teresa that makes you look at her as if she's divine? And she is divine. But what makes you? What is it about her that gives her that quality? When you look at her and you go, oh, Mother Teresa, oh, it's Swami. Well, that's what we're going to talk about next, because that is the key to it all. How do we become God? How do we become divine? It's through service. All service is to the self alone. So the service that we do, we're really doing to ourselves, but that process is what transforms our heart. And so we're going to look at another little PowerPoint here, and this one is really good, and it is about becoming God. By growing your love and by shrinking your desires. Now, I don't know about you, but for most of my life, I've gone around, and as you go through the day, you look around and you think, what can I do right now that would be pleasurable? Well, I think I'll watch television now. Well, I think I'll go for a walk in the park. I think I'll have a banana split. That would be pleasurable. Most of us go through the day looking to the outer world to bring us some sort of pleasure or joy. Our desires, Swami says, the eye sees and the mind wants. And so what you do is you go around the day, as you go through the day, I want some of that, I want some of this, and the flow is going this direction. Everything you want to come here, because all of these wonderful senses that we have, the thumb, the ear, and the eyes, and everything, we want those things I want to hear good things. I want to see beautiful sights. I want to taste good food. And so all these things you want this sensory perceiver to experience. And so, you've got the flow going this way all the time. These things are called vasanas in this book, Jnana Vahini. And let me tell you, I do not pretend to be an expert on any of this. I'm just a guy that read a book and loves it. But the vasanas are really the troublemakers here. These are the things, these are our desires. And the Malina vasanas are really the real troublemakers, because they're the ones that feed the mind, make it more uncontrollable and unsteady, and they spread and strengthen the desire for objective pleasure. So when you go out and you experience something that's pleasurable, yeah, that was good. I want some more of that, And so that's what happens, is you taste and sense and all these things, and you want more to come that direction. Swami says the satisfaction of desires leads to further desires. And he says mountains can be swept away sooner than these deep-rooted vasanas. These are tough customers. Opium and brandy enslave you for some time, but vasanas grip you for a whole lifetime. So, what do we do about that? The fulfillment of the life of man consists in the realization of the Atma, that is to say, Atma Sakshatkara. To get this realization, one should be entirely free from vasanas. Wow, how on earth am I going to do that? Moksha, or liberation, is, in the true sense of the term, liberation from bondage from these vasanas. Well, I don't know about you, but that's a tough one. What do we do about all these pleasures that we go through life? And they can be as simple as you want to see your child graduate from college, or you want to do this, you want to go on a vacation. I mean, there's all sorts of asanas that we're basically living our life here for. Well, we're living our life we think we're here for that. Well, what do you do about these things? And you notice that there's a little bit of Swami still in each of us, even though we have all of these desires, even some of the worst people, Hitler loved dogs. I mean, everybody has a little bit of God in them. And so how do you make that God within us get bigger? How do we become God, essentially? Well, there's something called the Shubha-vasanas. beneficent impulses. Reference for the great and following their advice, charity, love, service. Which reminds me, Swami's got a comparison of charity and sacrifice. Charity is when, you make a lot of money and you think, I made all this money, I should give a little bit to charity, give a little percentage of my salary to poor people or something, you know what I mean? That's charity. Sacrifice, Swami said, is where everything is his. I give it all to Swami, and I'll just take a little bit so that I'll be comfortable and safe, and I'll take care of my family, and take the things that I absolutely need, and give everything to Swami. That's sacrifice. Well, as you can see here, what's happened is this fellow has replaced a couple of the things that were attracting him previously, that ate up some of his time, perhaps. And he's replaced those things with some service activities. You know how we go once a month, we go to the nursing home, or we go to feed the poor and things like that. So you go and you do a little service. And when you do that, God gets a little bit bigger. You go to the nursing home and you experience the Swami's love flowing through you to these people in the nursing home. You feel that love flowing through you. And so you say, that was great. We went with our center and we went to the nursing home and we had a wonderful day, and I feel more divine than when I'm with. Well, there's something else you can do, is you can do more of that. You're not restricted from doing a lot of service, and as you do, and you begin filling your life, you notice the pizza went away, As you begin filling your life with these things, you become more divine. Like Swami or Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa did a lot of service. She became divine from the amount of service that she did. And eventually, you become very, very, the flow has been redirected so that the flow is constantly going that direction. And everything you do becomes an act of service. And if you can get to the point where everything you do becomes an act of service, you become much more divine. Well, service is very, very transformative to our heart. And that's why Swami has us do it. And I'm going to give you a few examples. There was a fellow in Miami, his name was Victor. And Victor was a corporate raider for a living. What he would do is he would go and buy up a company and loot it for everything in it, including the pension plan. He would actually go in and buy a company and take the money out of the pension plan so that those people no longer had a pension. He'd keep that money for himself. Well, that's illegal in this country, and Victor got caught at it, and he had a real good lawyer, and the lawyer got him community service. And he said, "Oh, thank you, Your Honor, thank you so much." And the judge says, "No, you don't understand. You're going to be doing community service 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the first day you miss, you're going to federal prison." Because he was 82, And so, all of a sudden, Victor is standing in a food line in a homeless shelter, feeding people that were starving. And they come up to him and they go, "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I haven't had anything to eat all day, and I didn't eat yesterday either. And I'm just, thank you for being here. You're such a great man for doing." They didn't know Victor's story. And all of a sudden, these people with tears in their eyes thanking Victor for the food, it changed his heart. And he began to do things for this homeless shelter. And he, you know, got better beds in there, and better food. And, you know, he had still had a little money left, so he began doing some really good things. And before Victor died, he had actually had somewhat of a transformation from all these service activities. So that's what it can do to you. Let me tell you what happened to Gene. Gene used to spend $500 for dinner. He used to go out and I had $1 million in my checking account. I thought nothing. Charging, you know, $500, invite friends over, go out and have a wonderful time, you know. $500. When I was in Africa, filming in the Lusaka hospital, there was a little baby about this big with sores all over his body. And the doctor whispered in my, I'm filming like this and I can hardly look through the camera. It was so pitiful. And the doctor says, I wish she brought him 2 weeks earlier. I said, why? I said, baby's not going to live. It's too far along. And so you start filming starving people. And then I was in the Maasai country in Kenya, filming the Sai School, and I happened to casually ask someone, what does it cost a student to go to school here for the year? And they said, well, let's see, food, we put them up here, they live here, we get them the uniforms, and a Sai education for a year is $500. And I'm thinking, you know, I used to spend that on dinner. And so that's why, by the way, why Swami sent me to Africa. What do you do with a guy that's spending $500 on dinner? My big concern is I was a big commercial director, you know, my stuff was on TV every week, and you know, had a head the size of Texas.
No idea.
And had $1 million in the bank. What do you do with a guy like that? Well, first you got to get rid of all that money, so that was the first thing he did. And then he sent me to Africa to film some starving people, and to also see great devotees who were using their great wealth in service to their fellow man. Even though they were wealthy, they were living a life of sacrifice. Because it was all, they felt as if it was all Swamis. Everything that they were doing was Swamis. In the Nairobi Center in Kenya, they spent $1 million making this. There's a stupa. It's the same size as the one in Puttaparthi in the parking lot. I mean, and they got Swami's residence on top, and inside the atrium, they have Swami's life story all the way up, and pictures around the walls of Swami's. And they have a full-time doctor on staff and have a medical clinic within the structure itself. So you see things like that about how people are spending their great wealth. And then you see, Gene got to see starving people. He got to realize that you could take $500 and a child can go to school for a year and get a Sai EHV education, or Gene can have a fancy dinner. And so you see things like that with Swami, and by the way, that's Swami's job. That's what he's here for. He's here to transform the heart of all humanity. And he's doing it. I'm going to give you some more evidence about that. But basically, you can transform your heart through these kinds of acts of service. I'll tell you another story. Did you know that Swami approves of gambling? I bet you didn't know that, did you? There's a man in Cape Town. His name is Selvan. And this is how you turn it around from a certain type of thing to another type of thing that's better for you. There was a man named Selvan, and he was a gambler. And he liked his drinks, and he liked his cigarettes and things like that. And he got involved. Swami got him, you know. And he's not a very rich man. He's a working man like a lot of us. He's got a janitor service. but he saved $300,000. And they were needing a Sai school in Durban. And he took his $300,000 and they bought some bricks. The devotees hired a brick mason, and they made the bricks. The brick mason showed them how to lay the bricks. And the ladies made lunch while the men built the Sai school with Selvin's money. And Selvin, yes, I said, well, what did you do about gambling? He said, I stayed in his house. He said, oh, I'm still a gambler. I still gamble. But I gamble on Sai children. I take my money now and I build a school and I gamble on Sai kids. And so that's how you turn it around.
Can you explain it?
That's how you turn it around. Maybe Swami didn't like the gambling part. But anyway, I'd like to tell you another story about how, about a really good story. There's a man named Dr. Upadhyaya that I'm sure many of you know. He's the ophthalmologist in London that goes, Dr. Upadhyaya goes around the world all the time now and does eye operations in Sai medical camps. And he's very well known as a great man. He's just really an incredible human being. And some devotees called him up one day and said, there's a man that's saying he wants to kill himself. Would you be willing to talk to him? He wants to commit suicide. Dr. Upadhyaya said, yes, anymore. So the man came over and he said, I understand you want to kill yourself. And he says, yes, I do. I have nothing to care for anymore. And, you know, got a lot of trouble, and I've decided I'm going to commit suicide. And Dr. Upadhyaya said, well, after he told him the story, he said, yes, I can see it's tough, but I wondered if you could do me a favor. And he said, what's that? He said, could you put it off for 30 days? And the man said, why? He said, well, this is the time during the Bosnian War. He said, we've got this huge semi-tractor trailer truck full of food that's been donated. And the people in Bosnia are starving to death. We can't get anybody to drive that truck through there because it's really a dangerous area where the bombs are going off and everything. And since you were going to kill yourself anyway, I didn't say that. Would you be willing to drive this truck? And the man said, his name is Bob. Bob said, yes, yeah, I'll do that, sure. Well, Bob drove this truck through the bombed area and everything and got it to Bosnia, and the people got the food, and they were carrying him around and everything. You want to marry my daughter? And then they were just really, he realized this is something that's great, you know, these people are starving. And so he did it again. And he became known as the only guy that would do that. And he'd risk his life and go through this area. Of course, fearless Bob, man, he was right in his element. And it changed his life. Here was a man that found himself. He became a great devotee of Sai Baba, by the way. And it totally changed his life. That service activity of seeing him, helping other people, totally transformed him. Now, all of us may not have these kinds of opportunities, but we can have some wonderful opportunities within our own neighborhood, within our own community, within our own family. And so I want to give you an example of service that you might want to give a try, and that is this. I was in North Carolina speaking at a Walk for Values, and I went to the center after that, and they asked me to speak, and I was talking to people about service, and asked some of them, what service are you doing? And one young lady, a young adult, stood up and said, well, the last service I went to, the service activity I went to, was at the hospital, and they took me in the back room, and they had me yellow highlighting papers a big stack of papers, and I was highlighting the papers for 3 hours in the afternoon. Now, this is a girl that's in college. What's going to happen is, she said, I was bored to death. What's going to happen is, the next time they ask her to come and do service, she's oh, Dad, I'm going to have a final coming up here. I just can't leave right now. She's not going to want to go do that. And so I talked to them. I said, no, you've got to find the kind of service activity that you think is fun. Service should be fun. I personally don't like to go to nursing homes. I get very depressed. I go anyway because I'm in the Hollywood Center and everybody else goes, I'd be conspicuously missing. But that's not something that I seek out to do. I love to go to the prison. I like to work with the teenage boys in the prison. And I teach a class on, I videotape them, since I'm a cameraman, I videotape them practicing job interviews. They need a job, all of them need a job. And so I videotape them practicing, good afternoon, sir, nice to meet you. Instead of saying, man, what's up? And they get to see themselves on camera, and I really enjoy that. And so the service activity that you should do is something that you find really fun, that you would probably do anyway. Do you like golf? Take a young person to the driving range with you. Are you an archery person that likes to shoot arrows or something? You know, take a young person from an impoverished area or a troubled youth or something and take them and go shoot some arrows. I used to have an airplane. I would take gang members up in the airplane and show them why you had to obey the rules, how complex everything is, how society all runs, and you need to be very, very careful about what you do. If you fly into this area without calling them and telling them ahead of time, you'll lose your license because there's planes landing over there. And so I explain things like that in terms like that, and they get to go flying, and I get to go flying. See, that's the beauty of it. You like to go flying? Take a gang member up and teach him something while you're flying. And it's the same with you. All of you have certain things you probably love to do. Take somebody with you and go do something that you think is fun. So that's what I think it really, really works. But the key to it is that you enjoy it. If you do it as a chore, then you've got a problem. How much time have I got now? 10 minutes? 5 minutes? Well, a couple of things. I'll talk faster then. The best service you can do is all day, every day. And it's as simple as this. Hi, how are you today? Nice to see you. Oh my goodness, I just love that tie. Isn't that nice? This was such a wonderful, wonderful meal. Thank you so much. Anything you can possibly do to spread a little joy, you can do. That doesn't have to be an official service project. It can just be a daily practice of going around and being really, really nice. Not like Gene, I'm going to tell you what. Here's another one. So I'm in the restaurant, I'm hungry, I'm tired, and I order a salad. And it was a $10 salad. It's a nice restaurant, and it's supposed to have candied walnuts and goat cheese and some beets and things on it. It was like a pretty good salad in the picture, And so they bring me a pile of lettuce, and there's nothing in it. It's just lettuce. And so they caught me at a bad moment, and the waiter, come back. Would you pay $10 for this salad? I failed. You see, that's what we need. That's what Gene needs to work on, is really be nice and sweet to people all the time and spread Swami's love wherever we go. And think of them also being divine, we're divine, they're divine, and And everywhere you go, you try to spread Swami's love, like it's here today. But when you get to work, or back out there, or you're having, a discussion with the wife or whatever, you want to spread that love, Swami's love, everywhere you go. That's really all Swami wants from us. That's really all he wants. I mean, the way I see it is for us to be loving and kind, and spread his love and joy. And that will bring about the golden age. And I want to tell you, there's nothing that can stop the golden age. I've been around the world. I've been to about 26 or so countries now, filming in Sai Schools and Sai service activities. And there is so many wonderful things going on in the schools. Just one couple of quick little stories here. I was in a tiny little Sai school in the back of a church in a slum in Lagos, Nigeria. Not a slum, they call them informal settlements, but there were people living in cardboard boxes, And so the devotees started a little school there. And within a few months, they had 6 classes in the back half of a church. It wasn't about like this, and they had cardboard set up between the classes, these tiny little benches and a little chalkboard, and they had 6 classes of kids in there. And it was so successful that teachers would come from other schools around the area wanting to know, what is it that you're teaching here? And one day a little boy brought his mother to school. The teacher said, why did you bring your mother to school? And he said, well, she told a lie. They're getting a Sai education in human values. Another boy brought his mother, and she was returning the food pack that the devotees had given to each family. And that little boy brought his mother to return the food pack, and the teacher said, no, that's for you, you can keep that. And the little boy said, no, she can't. And the teacher said, why not? Because she took 2. And so you see, and there's another quick example at the Ribeirão Preto school in Brazil. 2 students had to move across town. Their parents moved across town, so they couldn't go to that school anymore, and they were just really so sad about that. But the teachers began to notice these are not ordinary children. They were helping the other students. They were staying late to help the teacher. They were so sweet and well behaved. She said, where did you go to school before? And they said, oh, we went to the Sathya Sai school at Ribeirão Preto. What do they teach there? Oh, they teach Sathya Sai human values. And so the teachers went over there. What is it that they were, see what they were really teaching? They were so impressed that all the teachers at that school went over to the Ribeirão Preto to take the EHV training. And that's how it's spreading. Swami's students from Anantapur, Swami's examples of, we saw a beautiful example today of boys that are graduating from his university, and I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of them. And I was in the bathroom at Kuda Party across from the Mandir, and I noticed there's a boy standing there. And I was about to go, and I was, he's still standing there. And I got to thinking, he's probably here to help some old man. So I wanted to say, excuse me, are you one of Swami's students? And he said, yes, I am. I said, are you standing here in case some old man comes in and needs help, or some old guy? He said, yes, I am. I said, you're the hope for the world. You won't find that at Harvard, I don't think, or Yale, or one of these big fancy schools. That's the difference with the Sai education. And what Swami is making is seeding the world with these magnificent young people from Anantapur and the young adults that we have here, and the young adults in South America. I saw 200 young adults in South America when I gave a talk, and you just won't believe it. There's nothing that can stop the golden age. And so I guess that's about all the time I have. Is that about it? About 1 minute left. Okay, well. Everywhere, when Swami makes these schools, everybody's always skeptical at first. And later, they're coming by and asking, what is it that you teach here? It's just so many wonderful things happening in the Sai organization right now. We're part of it. And Swami his job is fulfilled. He hasn't gone anywhere. It was just at Buddha Party. And everything is just like it always was. Everybody's really fired up about changing their hearts, and everything's really going to be okay. So, and by the way, Hislop has been reborn. Hislop is reincarnated. He's 4 years old now and living in Central America. And they brought him to, John Boehner told me this story. He won't tell me what country he's in, but he told me that this lady had a dream. And in the dream, Swami came to her and said, your son is Jack Hislop. And so she took him, John took the boy to Buddha Party. This was just before Swami passed. And he stood up as Swami went by and he said, Swami, it's me. Where's my cross? So Hislop is back. And so there's a lot of wonderful things going on. My daddy always said, leave a party while you're still having a good time. So I better take off from there.
For sharing your experiences with the sweet Lord. You beautifully brought out the concept of Samipyam and Sarupyam, behaving and acting like Swami through the various service activities. And when you increase your activities towards service, the God in you rises and becomes bigger and bigger, and you really act like Swami himself. Thank you very much, Gene. Please give him a big hand. During this time, I was sitting next to Lad. You know Lad, the guitar Krishna. He reminded me that I'm not an MC, but I'm supposed to be a quiz master. Hey, Lad, thank you very much. Are you ready for a quiz? Yes? Okay, good. We are celebrating Swami's birthday, so let me have a quick question on Swami's birthday. Do you know on which birthday of Swami was Prashanti Nilayam inaugurated? Quick, quick, quick. Your time starts now, already over. 10, 9. Guess. Sorry? 25, correct. Give him a big hand. And second question. During Swami's 65th birthday, there was a very special event which took place in Prashanti Nilayam. Do you know what that was? Sorry? Hospital. No. 65th birthday was the opening of the Hanuman statue, 65 feet tall, in the sports auditorium. And the beauty of this one is there is an event, you have to remember this. The engineers who were entrusted with this job were really struggling as to how do I construct a Hanuman 65 feet tall, and how do we balance and the stability and so on and so forth. The structural problem, the civil engineers had a big problem. So naturally, where do they go? They come to Swami, and Swami says, okay. He explained to them, and when he found that the engineers were still struggling, he simply materialized a golden Hanuman, exact replica of what he had in mind, and showed it to them, saying, this is the way you need to construct it. And later, when the engineers tried to do the structural analysis using the computers and all the best of softwares, they found that the sample that Swami had materialized was the perfect example of the structural stability that they could think of. That is Swami. Now, be rest assured that when you